Hey there, Janko Rutgers here for Call Colors, the show that brings you the future of television today. On this episode, we're going to take a look at the Cloud TV box from Sungale. It's an Android-based setup box that brings internet video to the TV. And before I dive into and show you all the features it has, I want to kind of tell you a little bit why I was interested in reviewing this device. As you may know, if you follow this space, Google has done its own thing with Android, which is Google TV. It's basically based on Android. It's their idea how Android should look like in the living room. But there's also been a bunch of other manufacturers, because Android is open source at its core, that have taken the system and kind of adopted it for set-top boxes, for living room devices. And the first of these iterations were kind of crude. It looked basically like a cell phone screen on your TV, which is really not what you want to have. But there have been a couple of companies that have taken this and put their own UI on it, gone with their own ideas. And this is one of them, so I was kind of excited to see how well this works in the living room. So this is the Cloud TV box close up. It retails online for about $100. And if you take a closer look at it, you're going to notice here in the front it has a power button and an upgrade button, which is a curious choice because usually people kind of hide that in the back. But maybe they expect users to really access the upgrade button a lot. I don't know. Turning it to the side, we're going to see a couple of ports here, a couple of storage possibilities here. It has a SD card reader, which is kind of nice if you have some media from your camera or something. One USB port. And then turning to the back, you're going to see two more USB ports, so you can add plenty of accessories. One we have taken here for a kind of a dongle for a wireless mouse pointing device. I'm going to get to that in a second. Next to it is an HDMI port. Then we have output for audio, video, two ports here, and an Ethernet port and power. In the box are two remote control devices, essentially. One very basic remote control that has some Android-specific buttons like a home and a return button. But you also, to access everything, you kind of need to also use a mouse pointer, which is why they added a wireless mouse to this, which I think doesn't really work as well when you sit on a couch because you don't really have anything to use it for. That's why they also sell this thing, which is an Air mouse. So it's a kind of a wireless point-and-click device, like a V unit, which also has the essential Android buttons, home button, back button, menu button, also volume buttons here, and a D-pad. And I think that retails on the website for about $20. So this is the main UI of the Cloud TV box. You see here they have their own Internet TV section, then they have highlighted a couple of apps and services, and then they offer access to additional Android apps if you want them, like Maps and all kinds of Google apps. And let's dive right in and let's take a look at this Internet TV section. The idea behind it is to take freely available content on the internet, on websites of TV networks and so on, and present it in this box in a coherent fashion, kind of regularly updated content. And that's a good idea in theory. So they take content from ABC, for example. The problem now is if you go to any of those shows, why not The Bachelorette here, for example, you're going to notice that these are not full episodes. These are basically just clips that are available on the network websites to be presented on mobile phones. So once it starts playing, after it buffers a little bit, you're also going to see the quality isn't really as good because it's optimized for mobile and it's just blown up onto your big screen now, and it's really nothing enjoyable. And again, it's not a full episode, so why would you bother watching it anyway? Coming back to the remote control really quick, this is kind of an Air mouse type of thing. It's a little bit like using a Wii controller for the original Wii, where you kind of just use a cursor on the screen. It kind of works, and some of the bigger TV brands now have that as well. LG has that as well. I, in general, don't like it as well because I think point and click doesn't work as well for a TV. But people like different things, and maybe you're going to be more into it than I am. Next up are dedicated streaming apps on this device. So they have YouTube, they have Netflix, Vio, Dailymotion, Crackle, and a bunch of other services. And it's nice to have those services available. Most of them are available on many of those devices on the market, like Netflix, so we don't have to really show that. And they do have a YouTube app, and I want to just highlight that to show you one problem again with this device, which is you start the YouTube app and you expect something nice and beautiful and it looks like this instead, which again is because this is essentially a YouTube version built for a mobile phone. And they have blown it up to a big screen here, but it looks really not that pretty. And once you would start any of those videos, you would also notice that the video quality isn't often as good because it's optimized for mobile, and this just is not a mobile phone. One more thing that they have is what they call in this UI the internet world. That's essentially kind of a sorted collection of other Android apps. Some of those you don't have on Google TV, like Gmail you suddenly have on the screen here, which is not working as well, I think, because who really wants to read email on their big screen? But the bigger problem again is that many of those apps are optimized for mobile devices and they don't look as pretty, or some don't even work at all. You have access to the Play Store here, so you could in theory install some apps, but some of those apps again don't work for this device. I tried to install Hulu Plus. I could get it to download, but then it said it doesn't work for this phone because of chaos. It's not a phone, and that's at the core of this issue essentially, that they have taken a phone experience and tried to skin it for the TV, but once you play with it a little bit, you're going to notice that the functionality is severely lacking. The reason for that is that they also based this on an older version of Android. So I looked a little bit under the hood and I noticed it's a 2.2 or 2.3, something like that, which is a pretty old version of Android. Android now is at 4.2 is the newest version, and even the Google TV devices are 3 point something. So you're only going to get Android, basically a phone experience for a phone that you would have bought 2 years ago. And that really doesn't work well on your TV. That was a quick look at the Sungale Cloud TV box. You kind of sense that I was a little underwhelmed with this device. I expected more from it. I think Android could do more in the living room. I still wait for bigger companies to come to this space and take the OS and maybe do something really interesting with it. Amazon did this with the Kindle. It's Android-based, but it looks completely different. It's a really nice device, the Kindle Fire. I still wait for something like this to come to the TV. This one isn't it, and it's also not worth spending the money on it. The box itself costs $100 if you order it online. And then if you want to get one of those remote controls, it's I think another $20 or something like that. And for the same money, you can get a Google TV device that's Android-based, has most of these apps, looks much better, performs better, and is just a better choice.